All right, we're gonna go over the equipment I used at Desert Brutality. Just a few minutes. Using this rifle. It's a little Franken rifle that I built off of a Mars LS lower, Centurion upper, Hodge barrel, forward controls design handguard. Most of the parts in here are either Sons of Liberty forward controls or similar. Some Badger mount, Vortex 1 to 10, which is great until you need to get into awkward positions. Using an A5H2 buffer and a law folder because being able to fold your guns is awesome. Also, it just gives it a little bit more mass in the bolt carrier to make it a little smoother for you. Using a Silencer Co. Omega on a adapted to use a chemo mount. Rifle magazines, I had 4 Gen 3 windowed PMags in this Marine Corps Coyote color, the MCT I think they call it. And I used the one mag that I used when I painted the rifle, just, you know, because it looks better than a weird different color. For pistol, Gen 4 Glock 19 with an RM06 adjustable RMR. The millwork was done by ATEI. Great people, awesome customer service. Local guy did all the stippling. The light is a PLH V2 on a PL350 by Mod Light. It's not really useful in a match. All it does is collect gunk on the lens here. But it does give you a little bit more mass, and since it's my carry gun, I didn't feel like taking it off. For holster, we have a Safariland 6354 DO, which is cut for a Dr. Optics, but it works with an RMR or a SRO if you want to use that. It has the QLS plate system here, so I can adapt the holster to whatever belt I'm using, or if I put it on my kit or anything, or so I can use the same belt adapters on multiple holsters. I also have a cat of some sort right here. I don't remember which generation it is, probably 6 because I've had it for a while, and an Arbor Arms leg leash. This is an ALS only holster, so there's a little thumb lever here rather than some of the other Safariland options. For magazines, I have Glock 17 Gen 4 magazines with Zev plus 5 extenders on them that come with their own springs, so you don't have to worry about not having enough power for 22 rounds. These were at one point red. I spray painted them after the match because it looks better than red. For belt equipment, I'm using a AWS Incorporated 2-belt gunfighter system. It's their lab belt in Woodland because Woodland is God's plaid. The inner belt is what I used to hold up the Glock. The outer belt had my dump pouch, which is a 10-speed from Blue Force Gear. Also had a 10-speed double pistol magazine pouch on there. And equipment rules required that you had a fixed 4-inch blade. This barely passes at the tip, so good enough. I personally don't usually carry a knife on my belt, but the rules required it, so I had one. I like these 10-speed pouches because they are very lightweight. They mold around your body if they're not in use, and they take up very little space. For clothing, I was wearing just regular t-shirts, regular flannels, but I also had Cry Gen 3 combat pants at Woodland because God's plaid, and I had the inserted knee pads because that gravel, it gets really uncomfortable really quick, and kneeling on it is the worst. For shoes, I have these ballistic trainers from GoRuck. Great shoes. You can lift them. You lift in them. You can go for a run in them. They are much more comfortable than something like the Altamas that I used to use for shooting because they don't conform to the gravel as much, so your feet will end up being tired, obviously, but not as tired. For equipment, rules required a plate carrier for the Armor Plus T division, so I could use any equipment that I wanted. on my rifle and pistol, I can have extended magazines, but the downside is plate carrier. These are not ballistically rated plates. I just use these plates so I don't break my real ones. But I was using the, I forget who makes these. I think it's Plate RX, but it's a steel plate. Each one of these is rated to weigh exactly 7.5 pounds. So I can meet the minimum requirement for weight, which was either level 3 rated plates or a plate carrier weighing 15 pounds. This is a Cry JPC 2.0. I put on the Cry placard with more of those 10-speed pouches here for rifle, some for pistol, and didn't really use any of them except this one. Kind of stuck a magazine in there behind the chest rig as my ready mag. I also put on these high-speed gear shoulder pads because they're fucking awesome, and anyone who doesn't like them can fight me. Over that, Spiritus. This is the Mark IV on a Thing 2. I really like that because it lets me have my water, which was also required that you started every stage with a full liter of water. Lets me put a tourniquet on, general purpose pouch on this side for whatever I need. I have it set up with 3 rifle magazine pouches on the back. Up front here we have a rifle magazine and 3 pistol magazine pouches, which holds the 4 required rifle magazines and 3 required pistol magazines that the equipment rules require. And then here I have a dangler full of medical supplies. This is it's not the best option for holding a tourniquet, but it's the only one available on a dangler. The other option would be maybe sew some like molly webbing down here and then attach one of these pouches underneath. But you should always have multiple tourniquets because bleeds don't like stopping with one tourniquet sometimes, specifically if someone gets hit in the leg. Unless you all have been skipping leg day, at which point you should be fine with just one tourniquet. For helmet, which was also required, you could wear a ballistic helmet like I did, or you could wear a bump helmet. I went with the OpsCore Fast something, I don't know. I've had this thing for like 4 years. I think it's a Spiritus. Maybe it's a First Spear helmet cover. I don't remember. I've had it for like 4 years. Peltors. These are Contact 3s with the dual leads. So you can run 2 radio systems. Not really important for a match. And these things are old and beat up and I need to get them fixed. On the back, I do have my night vision Mohawk. No, you don't need a Mohawk if you're not running night vision, but what's nice about it is I hold batteries in it. In addition to, counterweights and stuff. I also have marking equipment here. Again, not necessary for a match, but I just don't take it off. And then all the helmet cam footage that you saw was shot with this helmet camera here. It is a Mohawk. Basically, all you do to turn it on is there's a little lever right here. Flip it, and it'll turn on. I took the battery out because it does drain the battery really quick through parasitic drain. There's off, and then if you just want to turn the camera on but not film, you flip it over to this side. Inside the camera, because this is super cool, it just uses a little micro SD card. This one is 1 terabyte micro SD card. So probably never gonna run out of space on this thing. And that is the equipment I used for Desert Brutality. All of it was purchased by me. None of it was given to me by anyone. I chose this equipment because it meets the needs that I have. One thing I forgot on the rifle is this suppressor cover is a Coltac because you don't want to burn the shit out of yourself when you're trying to run around with a hot suppressor. Some people will just leave it bare so that they don't overheat the can. These courses of fire are short enough that I'm not worried about overheating the can. I am worried about it getting hot and then touching me. So be safe out there.